Brazilian football star Pelé has passed away at the age of 82 at the Albert Einstein Hospital in Sao Paulo, where he was being treated since Brazilian President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva named the ministers who will be part of his new administration. And Russia's President Vladimir Putin attended the launching of nuclear submarine Imperator Alexander III and a hoisting flag ceremony of the naval process. Hello, welcome to teleSUR English. I am Estefania Bravo from the headquarters of Quito in Ecuador. This is from the south. On Thursday, Brazilian football star Pelé passed away at the age of 82 at the Albert Einstein Hospital in Sao Paulo, where he was being treated since November. Pelé's daughter, Kelly Nascimento, and his agent, Joe Fraga, confirmed his death via social media. Pelé was battling colon cancer since 2021. Widely regarded as one of the greatest footballers in history, Pelé spent nearly 2 decades mesmerizing fans and outshining his rivals as a top scorer in the history of Brazilian club Santos and the national team. His grace, athletic virtues, and incredible skill continue to amaze football fans worldwide today. Born Edson Arantes do Nascimento and widely considered to be one of the greatest soccer players in history, Pelé played in 4 World Cups, winning 3 in 1958, 1962, 1970, as well as scoring 12 goals in 14 games. And after learning of Pelé's death, personalities in politics and of sports have expressed their deep regrets and acknowledged the brilliant sporting career of the King of Soccer. The President-elect of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, on his official Twitter account wrote, "I have the privilege that younger Brazilians did not have. I saw Pelé play live at Pacaembu and Morumbi play number 1. Saw Pelé put in a show because when the head of the ball, he always did something special, which often ended in a goal." Record the political leader who will take office next January the 1st. And President Nicolás Maduro also expressed his condolences via Twitter. He said, "Today, one of the greatest soccer players in history, Edson Arantes do Nascimento, the great Pelé, departs for eternity. From Venezuela, we extend our condolences to his family, friends, and the great fans who will remember him forever. Long live Pelé." And former U.S. President Barack Obama joined the admiration expressions via Twitter as well. According to his account, Pelé was one of the greatest to ever play the beautiful game. He added that as one of the most recognizable athletes in the world, he understood the power of sports to bring people together. Finally, Obama offered his condolences to Pelé's family and everyone who loved him and admired him. And another former U.S. President, Bill Clinton, also tweeted that Pelé was not only a football legend, but also a humanitarian and global icon. Clinton said that the player used his platform to empower disenfranchised children and inspire generations around the world. Finally, he thanked for Pelé's life and legacy. French football player Kylian Mbappé also made a statement via his Twitter account about Pelé's passing, saying that the king of football has left us, but his legacy will never be forgotten. And Argentine President Alberto Fernandez also made public his feelings about the departure of the Brazilian star via Twitter, describing him as one of the best soccer players in history and noting that those years when Pelé dazzled the world with his skills will always be remembered. Likewise, he sent his condolences to the family and all the Brazilian people. To honor the late football star, we now have a remembrance of his life and career.
Edson Arantes do Nascimento, known as Pelé, is considered by many as the best player of all times. He started playing in the streets of Brazil until he joined the youth team of Club Atlético de Bauru at the age of 13 and later to Santos of Sao Paulo, which catapulted him to the World Cups. Football legend Pelé was born on October 23rd of 1940 in the Brazilian town of Três Corações in the state of Minas Gerais. At the age of 17, he was already a star of Brazilian football, scoring 2 impressive goals in the match between Brazil and Sweden in the 48 World Cup, where the South American won 5-2. Then, in Chile 62, he managed to score an unforgettable goal against Mexico, despite being injured at that time. The success continued in Mexico 70, and in 1969, King Pelé scored his 1000th goal. His last game was in New Jersey in 1977, accumulating a total of 1,283 goals through his career. Pelé played his last game in New Jersey on October 1st of 1977 after scoring 767 goals in 831 official games. Was known as a man without presumption or arrogance, loved by millions of football fans. A father who cared about the fate of Brazilian children, was the leader and won 3 of the 5 World Cup trophies that Brazil have won, and this is why the world and his country will always remember him with great admiration for his humility and his imprint on the history of the Latin American football.
In Chile, the severe water shortage that currently affects most of the territory will increase in the coming years, according to a report by the National Institute of Statistics. In all the basins analyzed, there was an average annual decrease of up to 25% in the most critical cases. According to the INE document, the southern regions are the ones that project a more moderate deficit. However, important climatological changes are already taking place there as well. In the central and northern areas, there has already been a drop-off between 13 and 37% of water availability in the last 3 decades, and it could reach 50 points shortly. This is a problem in which several factors coincide, among them the lack of rainfall, the increase in human consumption, the demand of industrial projects such as mining, and the damage caused by forest fires. And on Thursday, the government of Mexico City activated the orange alert due to a cold weather that affects 6 municipalities of the state. The municipalities of Álvaro Obregón, Coajimalpa, Magdalena, Contreras, Milpa Alta, Tlalpan, and Chocomilco faces the lowest temperature in recent years. The Secretary of Integral Risk Management and Civil Protection of Mexico City forecast temperatures from 1 degree Celsius to 3 degrees Celsius in the early hours of Thursday. The Mexico City weather forecast predicts a very cold day, mainly in the southern and western areas of the capital. So authorities called on residents to take the necessary precautions to avoid deaths due to hypothermia. The Mexican Red Cross recommended citizens to protect themselves from the cold, urging them to stay in their homes near a heat source or where they can keep warm. We're taking our first break now. Join us again after this. And also don't forget to follow us on our TikTok account at teleSUR English for more. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Brazilian President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva presented the ministers who will be part of his government ahead of the first day of his administration on January 1st. Lula da Silva announced the names of 16 new ministers who joined the national 21 names already confirmed up to last week to complete the list of 37 heads of ministers of the new government. The president-elect pointed out that of all his named ministers, 11 are women, which sets a new record in the country's political history. He also ensured that his cabinet was defined after many conversations, discussions, and adjustments.
I believe that the misrule to which Brazil has been subjected during all these years will make us work twice as hard to recover. I am happy because never before in Brazil's history have there been so many women ministers. Neither have we had an indigenous woman minister from the indigenous peoples. Yesterday I spoke to Sonia, who is a new experience on which we all have to work to help.
Then the elected president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, assured that the social area destroyed by the outgoing government will have to be rebuilt.
I want to say now to all the fellow candidates who were nominated that they are part of the history of this country, at a time when we had the courage to take over Brazil in an extremely delicate situation, a Brazil that was destroyed in many of the things we did. Almost everything in the social area was destructured, and we will have to build it anew, but with much more competence, more willingness and disposition, because that was the reason why I ran again for the presidency of the Republic.
The president-elect also urged the new officials to build a democratic government with technical and political personnel.
You need to be as democratic as possible in the construction of your government. It is important that we look for technically competent people with technical qualification. In my government, we're not afraid of electing politicians because I am one of those who think there's no solution for almost anything in the planet outside politics. I am convinced that we must assemble the best and brightest for our ministry so we can all start working. If you all share my optimism and my determination to work, get ready because I like to walk a lot, work a lot, and do many things at the same time. And I hope that you, all younger than me, are even more enthusiastic about it.
Bolivia's Attorney General's office has formally charged the governor of Santa Cruz, Luis Fernando Camacho, requesting 6 months of pretrial detention. The Prosecutor's Commission also requested that Camacho serve his preventive sentence in the maximum security prison of Choncho Coro, located in the municipality of Biacha. According to Prosecutor Omar Mejillones, the governor, arrested on Wednesday and transferred to the capital La Paz, has been charged with terrorism and has opened investigations for crimes such as breach of duty, embezzlement, abuse of authority, and attacks on the president and high-ranking dignitaries of the state. Fiji's new Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka vowed to succeed through peace following the departure of the nation's former government, while raising concerns about the nation's massive debt. 74-year-old Sitiveni Rabuka was elected on December 24th at a special sitting of parliament in Silva, which ended the 16-year mandate of Fiji First Party leader Frank Bainimarama as Prime Minister. The leader of the People's Alliance Party promised to audit the previous government's spending and said he will institute a rigorous approach while in power. Fiji experienced 4 coups in the past 25 years, 2 of them led by Rabuka in 1987, but the transition of power from Bainimarama to the new prime minister was peaceful. Rabuka said the incoming government needs to address the growing debt, which may be over 10 billion Fijian dollars, which would equal $4.5 billion. On Thursday, at least 5 people were killed and 37 others were injured after a fire broke out in a highway tunnel in Hwacheon, south of the South Korean capital. According to the National Firefighting Agency, 3 of the victims were in serious conditions, while 34 others suffered minor injuries. The fire department has already extinguished the fire that destroyed 44 vehicles in its path. However, preliminary reports detailed that the fire started after a cargo truck collided with a bus. And the free trade agreement between India and Australia entered into force on Thursday, with more than 6,000 duty-free products from India in the Australian market. Officially known as the India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, signed on April 2nd, the pact would provide duty-free access to Indian exporters in various sectors, including textiles, leather, furniture, jewelry, and machinery to the Australian market. The agreement will strengthen and help boost bilateral trade in goods and services of up to $70 billion over the next 5 years. India will benefit from the preferential market access provided by Australia and will also offer favorable access in more than 70% of its tariff lines, which are mainly raw materials and intermediate products such as coal, minerals, and wines, among others. On Thursday, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova called Ukraine's peace plan and in February's summit proposal under the United Nations as delirious and hollow.
The Ukrainian authorities have talked and commanded themselves to such a state that they come up with yet another extravagant idea, clothe them in some kind of internationally legal form, but the point is the same, to preserve oneself without recognizing the obvious. We consider such a delirious idea as another publicity stunt by Washington that has been trying recently to cast the Kiev regime as a peacemaker.
We're taking one last short break now. Join us again after this. And also don't forget to follow me on my Twitter account at teleSUR for more. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. More news now. The new Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will regain power in Israel on Thursday, with the government described as analysts as the most right-wing in the country's history. The 73-year-old politician is Israel's longest-serving prime minister, with 15 years divided into 2 terms. However, the premier Netanyahu, who has faced corruption charges, was removed from power in 2021 by a coalition of leftist, centrist, and Arab parties. After the November 1st elections, the prime minister began negotiating with ultra-Orthodox and far-right parties such as Bezalel, Smotrich's Religious Zionist Party, and Itamar Ben-Gvir's Jewish Power, both with a history of explosive anti-Palestinian statements. On Thursday, the United Nations suspended some of its time-critical programs temporarily in Afghanistan due to the ban imposed by the Taliban regime on power and girls in the country. After the announcement of the veto for women to attend university or work for the groups in the country, the Secretary General of the organization, Antonio Guterres, rejected the measure as another policy to exclude and silence the population group. As a result, the organism suspended the programs in the Asian country. In a joint statement, they said that women's participation in aid delivery is not negotiable and must continue. Banning women from humanitarian work has immediate life-threatening consequences for all Afghans. Following the measure imposed, women and girls have demonstrated in the streets demanding their rights. A massive fire that lasted more than 12 hours in the Cambodian Grand Diamond City Casino Hotel killed at least 19 people and injured about 60 on Thursday, while other victims are still unaccounted for. Right after knowing about the disaster, neighboring Thailand sent fire trucks and emergency workers to help cope with the crisis. Local authorities said more victims were believed to still be under debris or in locked rooms that rescue teams could not immediately access, so the death toll is expected to rise. About 400 employees and patrons were in the Grand Diamond City Casino and Hotel in the town of Phuket when the fire broke out. Cambodian police stated hundreds of military police and volunteer rescue personnel had joined the rescue effort, which was suspended at nightfall given the risk of the building might collapse. Airports company South Africa announced on Thursday that refueling problems affected 41 flights at the Tambo airport. The event caused delays in domestic and international departures from the start of operations until 8:30 local time, when the problem was resolved. Out of the total of 41 flights affected, 32 were domestic, 8 were international, and 1 flight was regional. The company said in a statement that the interruption was due to a technical problem with the main supply valve that provides fuel to the area where the aircrafts are parked, which had failed the day before. As an emergency measure, the company resorted to tanker trucks. And with that story, we've come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also be sure to follow us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English, I am Estefania Bravo. Until next time.